Bowie's career, it just, I
Oh, it's
mean,
amazing.
just
Yeah.
an immense wealth of just, of so many twists and turns of different things, and but almost with every song and every album, you had to pay attention. When you would like putting the headphones on and listen to a David Bowie song, you had to really be paying attention. And I bring that up because, like, well, you'd be doing that to anything, yeah, but with him, you had to just really be 100%
No,
ready and
he's so
perceptive,
innovative
so
that
innovative. And
you hear
sometimes,
so many different
sometimes I
sounds out
was,
of him.
especially with my kind of, ADHD kind of like, sort of like, you have to be completely like, ready. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Into the Music. My name is Greg, and that guy over there is Chris. And so, Chris, tell everyone what we have in store for them today.
Okay. Yeah, we had discussed this. We wanted to do a whole album that at least one of us thought was a great album. In this case, I do. Um, and So what we're going to do is we're going to periodically do a song from this album in order, in track order. And So anyway, without further ado, the name of the artist is David Bowie, and the name of the album is the whole name is "The Rise and Fall of Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars." So that's quite a title. So, um, well, go ahead and listen to it, and I'll give background a little later on about the album.
Okay, you gonna give me
All
the
right.
song? Did you give it?
Oh yeah, I gave the title
Did you
of the
do
album.
that?
Okay, so the first track that you'll be listening to is called 5 Years.
Okay,
So give it a
cool.
listen. Let me know what
Well,
you think.
Pushing through the market square, so many mothers sighing. News had just come over. We had 5 years left crying. News guy wept and told us Earth was really dying. Cried so much his face was wet. Then I knew he was not lying. I heard telephones, opera house, favorite melodies. Saw boys, toys, electric irons and TVs. A brain hurt like a warehouse, it had no room to spare. I had to cram so many things to store everything in there. And all the fat, skinny people, and all the tall, short people, and all the nobody people, and all the somebody people. I never thought I'd need so many people. Girl my age went off ahead.
just bring that back a little bit. I never thought I'd meet so many people. Trying to get my head around what the song's about. Um, uh, but just musically, I really like it a lot. I mean, I talk about space a lot on reactions, and like this one has it, but where just so effectively, just like the piano chord hit, the little bass, boom, 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 that drum beat, everything sounds so kind of simplified, but everything is just so effective. Um, yeah, well done so far. Very cool.
People, I never thought I'd need so many people. Girl my age went off ahead. Hit some tiny children. If the black hadn't have pulled her off, I think she would have killed them. A soldier with a broken arm fixed his stare to the wheel of a Cadillac. Cop knelt and kissed the feet of a priest, and a queer threw up decided that. I think I saw you in an ice cream parlor, drinking milkshakes cold and long, smiling and waving and looking so fine. Don't think you knew you were in the song. And it was cold and it rained, so I felt like an actor, and I thought of more, and I wanted to get back there. Your face, your race, the way that you talk, I kiss you, you're beautiful, I want you to walk. We got 5 years stuck on mine. 5 years, what a surprise. We got 5 years, my brain hurts a lot. 5 years, that's all we got. We've got 5 years, what a surprise. 5 years, stuck on mine. We've got 5 years, my brain hurts a lot. 5 years, that's all we've got. We've got 5 years, stuck on mine. 5 years, what a surprise. We've got 5 years, my brain hurts a lot. 5 years, that's all we got. We got 5 years, what a surprise. We got 5 years, stuck on mine. We got 5 years, my brain hurts a lot. 5 years, that's all we got. 5 years, 5 years.
Um, yeah, at the end there, where Bowie's voice is being strained, um, you could just tell all the emotion that was going into, as he was singing, screaming those lyrics. I've always loved that kind of like, uh, those kind of performances where singers, well known with very good voices, will just all in, and they're feeling it, they're in the moment of that song and what they're trying to express, and and if their voice cracks, I actually see it as really interesting and effective, because I know that sometimes I see critics or people go, oh, the voice strain, because people get technical on that, his voice strained a bit or her voice strained, and it's like, who cares? Something like this where the emotion's coming out. um, that was really effective, like a primal scream. So this was so interesting. It sounded like he's so much that what he was describing was like life, and everything that he's noticing, and meeting all kinds of people in the ice cream parlor and just, um, but I'm not really sure what this is about. Like, I'm sure there's a pointed sort of message with this, and I'll talk with Chris about that. But this was a really good start to this album. Cool.
I'm back. I'm
You
back. So
are.
yeah, yeah, on this Ziggy Stardust ride. And
We've embarked upon this journey.
so is this the first song on the album?
Yes, and we're doing it. We're going to do it in track order.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Um,
It's a concept album.
right.
Which,
I mean, so just to let everyone know, there's 3 songs that on that album that I know. And I think there's a lot more songs than 3. So,
right.
and Suffragette City, I think, is one of them, right? That's on the
Yes.
album. And so I think we're going to actually cover all of them. Like, I'm not going to
Yes,
just
let's cover
exclude
all of them.
those. So when we get to those few songs that I know,
Hmm.
we'll definitely, full disclosure. So that said, this one, no, I never heard. And that said, it's
Hmm.
just was a delight, man. It really was. I mean, what a great way to start the album too. Such a good vibe. Musically. Just had. I wrote down space. Just had a lot of space. Um, and you could do a lot within that space. I think we've talked about it recently in some
Hmm.
recent. Um, the bands that are successful. Well, I mean, you can cram a lot of stuff in,
Hmm.
but I love the bands. I gravitate to bands that Pink Floyd and just Radiohead and right down the line of just just opening up or whatever. And with this song, it was just like it was like the timing of the bass and the drums. And I'm not gonna be able to articulate this the right way. So maybe I'll try to. Sometimes I serve it up and you hit it over, but I loved the style of the guitar. I definitely heard it an acoustic guitar, um, along with the electric and the percussion. It had almost like um I wouldn't say a muted sound, but it was like like a softened sound. The drum, wasn't like hitting hard, whatever. It was just going really nicely with the bass and the acoustic, whatever. It came almost together, like creating like almost like a sound of its own. It
Well,
was,
yeah, and
you know, that was definitely David Bowie, in the other songs that I know from him. Yeah,
yeah, it
around that time.
started off very uh
It's signature. Yeah.
it wasn't you talk about the space. It wasn't
Well, not just the
it
space, but
didn't
then what they were doing inside that, like with, again, with that sound, with the
yeah,
bass and the percussion, the drum and, the guitars all, I mean, together, it was just kind of really, you know, yeah, I
well,
mean,
it
in that,
started off
yeah,
very minimalist and then it slowly built.
yeah, yeah,
As well as it had the fade in with the drums, and if you noticed, the way the vocals are is almost like just speaking it right in the beginning. By the
right.
end of the song, he's basically, really putting it out there. Um, Now, this video that you watched of it, did it have the lyrics?
It did.
It
It
did.
did.
So what do you
Yeah.
make of the lyrics? Do you,
Yeah. I wrote down a few things, but I want to get
unless you
back to
want
the
me to say
music.
what it is before you
No, okay, so
your
this is what I
interpretation?
I think it might be about, and you can tell me how wrong that I am. But I think he's describing life. At one point, I know that's kind of very general. But I was writing down a couple of lines that like really were interesting. Where he's at one point, I think he says something like, "Short people, nobody people, somebody people," and then he writes, He sings, "I never thought I would need so many people." I just I as he was singing that, and I'm like, oh my God, that's just a real telling, you know,
Yeah, I
um,
like how
set of lyrics.
he put all those
Yeah.
adjectives together like that and just mixed them
Yeah,
up.
like all different
Uh,
kinds of people and stuff like that. So
yeah,
so
yeah,
what I got
he
out of
got
it
that across in just a couple of lines. Yeah.
now at the end when he kind of repeats over and over, we've got 5 years. Okay. Then I started thinking what I'm gonna say to you, what I think it might be about. Um, because there's something about the 5 years,
Yeah.
and it's probably not about a 5 year plan, 5 years, 5 years, like what's the significance of 5 years,
This
um,
is very significant. This is going to be a very significant 5 years.
because what I was sensing was that, this is someone who almost thinks that the world is going to end, whether his world's going to end or the world itself is going to end. And that all
Uh,
of a sudden, what he's realizing is just, all the things he's picking up on, all around him is like, it's life, the ice cream cone, someone eating an ice cream cone and other things, and again, the nobody people, somebody people, all these people, he's now, it's kind of just, you know, um, yeah, yeah. So, and now you're going to tell me that that was completely off.
it's not even about life. Just kidding. Um, okay, it's because this is a concept album. The concept, and not every song is tight with this in this concept or on this album, but it's still a concept album, and this song is definitely part of that concept. which is the character, which was like a character that David Bowie played in concerts and stuff, right? Another persona of his that he had many
Okay.
over his career, was Ziggy Stardust. And Ziggy Stardust, the character Ziggy Stardust is, he's an extraterrestrial, and he comes down to Earth. You can come up to Earth too. I guess there's no up and down there, but and he basically he comes down and tells them they got 5 years. Just tells human race they got 5 years
Okay.
left, and that's it. And so that's why the line was the news guy wept and told us we had 5 years left to cry in.
Yeah.
So and then he's talking about just
That
all
was like in the beginning. That was more towards the beginning of the lyrics, right?
So that kind of set the theme, and then it was basically all these just observations out on the street and stuff, and so really people were, I guess they were freaking out a bit. I mean, there was some weird shit happening, so it was really just an observational thing of what went down when you heard that news. I mean, think about it. If we find out, I wonder how things would be if we found out, okay, the Earth is gonna be gone or be destroyed in 5 years. I wonder how we would act. But anyway, this came out in 1972, and let me see. So let me read this from Wikipedia.
Sure.
It's described as a rock opera and a loose concept album. So this character, Ziggy Stardust, he's an androgynous bisexual rock star, and sounds a lot like David Bowie in his early days. And he's sent to Earth as a savior before the apocalypse. And the Spiders from Mars was his fictional band, although what I was reading was that's what David Bowie called his band at the time too. So I don't know, maybe there's some mix of the real world and the fictional. But here's what I found really interesting. I thought a lot of the Ziggy Stardust character was based on Jimi Hendrix, because the song Ziggy Stardust itself, right? He played in Left Hand, and he was jiving us that we were voodoo, like Voodoo Child. So so it was actually, instead of Jimi Hendrix, according to Wikipedia, it's based on the character of Ziggy Stardust. The influences for the character, let's say, was Vince Taylor, from Vince Taylor and his Playboys, I think they were called.
Okay.
And another guy called Legendary Stardust Cowboy.
Okay.
Yeah, I just found this out today.
Yeah.
He was one of the pioneers of the music called type of music called psychobilly, which was rockabilly, but it was crazy rockabilly, hence the psycho. So I've heard some of that by I forgot the guy's name, but it's really cool. It's really cool guitar stuff, and they just go wild. And so is based on the Legendary Stardust Cowboy, or influenced by him, and Vince Taylor, and also a Japanese fashion designer named Kansai Yamamoto.
Okay.
Who I'm not really familiar with, but maybe that was where the fashion part of it was in, how he dressed and so on. So this was a whole performance thing. I mean, David Bowie, he's an actor too, so he's very theatrical. So this was cool that he developed this character for this.
How much did you know about all this you just told me? How much did you know before knowing we were going to do this reaction? But
Before
did
I
you
no,
know
I
this?
just looked. I just looked into it in
Okay.
preparation for today. No,
Wow.
I
Yeah.
knew the overall. I knew the overall concept of the album,
Yeah. No. Yeah. I
and
figured that. I
you
figured
know
that.
all that stuff. I just didn't know who the influences were
Yeah.
for creating
Yeah.
that character,
Yeah.
and so really, yeah, the other stuff I pretty much knew. So that was pretty enlightening to me. And so we're gonna, you know, anything else to add?
No, just want to, and we'll talk about, I guess, in other songs too when we, do more. But as a kid, I remember, so Bowie had this persona, in the '70s, and I remember him being on like I think the Flip Wilson show or other shows, and he would perform, and he like looked like a woman, I remember like being like, who is this? And he had like
That's the
this,
androgynous stuff.
he had
Yeah.
like not well, not he didn't have goggles, but I was trying to like emphasize like the eyes, like a
Makeup.
very almost like a robotic kind of like stare,
Yeah.
right in,
Yeah.
and his mannerisms were kind of very like, almost like,
Robotic.
unhuman, like, kind of more robotic. Yeah. And, at that time I was like, like, who is this guy? And, he was always on these shows, and then as
Mhm.
years went by, and then he broke out of that, and he was just David Bowie, and I thought that was faster because I always thought this was just going to be, because we've seen performers like that too. Like, they have some sort of persona shtick, certain look, and that's kind of stays with them for the duration of their career, and yet Bowie
And
Bowie had
actually
to
in the
break out of that. He
70s,
broke out of that. Yeah.
well, in the 70s, he had a few of them actually, a few different ones. And but when you
Yeah, but
say he broke out of it, you're making it sound like almost it's a negative thing.
no, 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 no.
Okay, okay, I'm just
No,
checking.
no, no, but you can no, but you can. Well, I think it's a negative if like maybe Bowie, I mean, I'm sure he didn't want to just be pegged as the Ziggy Stardust for the rest of his career. I mean,
Well,
he
no,
had to
that's
move
why.
on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, no,
because
that's all I'm
he
saying.
became Aladdin Sane, and then the Thin White Duke, and so all these different
Yeah.
personas, which I think is really cool. I mean,
Yeah.
I really love that kind of stuff. That it's a whole, it's like an all-encompassing type of performance. Well, it's like it's performance art.
I mean, I don't know. I just thought about Elvis. Elvis. From the late '60s to into the '70s, he was the guy with the white outfit and stuff, and that's kind of how you knew Elvis. In all those years. He never really broke away from that, out of that. He's kind of almost, you know, yeah.
No, he had two types. He had the leather jacket Elvis, and
Well,
he
that
had
was
the
the early
white,
part.
and
Yeah.
he had the white suit
Yeah. No,
Elvis
I know. Right.
with those
Right.
big sideburns.
Yeah, and as a kid growing up, again, I'm also connected to when I was living on this planet and I was seeing that Elvis, and yeah, yeah, we got to do Elvis too. We got to do some Elvis.
Yeah, we're not that old though. We saw him like on the Ed Sullivan show when it first came out.
Yeah, I was drinking a
Well, then
beer and I was like,
again,
oh, Elvis Presley, drinking a Schlitz.
you mentioned that on another video we did, didn't you?
That was a Schmitz. This I just said
Oh,
the
you mentioned
Schlitz.
Schmitz,
Well, there's
not Schlitz.
Schmitz and Schlitz. Don't mix up Schlitz and
Don't.
Schmitz. Yeah.
Like, what are these guys saying? We're gonna have to censor that.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, I'm glad you like this, and
Oh
so
yeah,
we'll
yeah,
we'll
yeah.
be doing the next song in the album pretty
This is a
soon.
groundbreaking album, right? I mean, this is,
Oh yes,
yeah,
yes,
I mean,
and it
let's,
got a lot of critical
yeah, I
success.
mean, we're probably talking to right now to a lot of David Bowie fans that they could probably, run circles
Yeah,
around,
I'll be
especially around
sure
my head
everything I
about,
said.
what this was, what went into it, and like what it meant to them. But yeah, I mean, just as a stepping outside as admiring David Bowie, liking a lot of his songs, but I guess not being a fanatical fan.
I used to be a fanatical fan,
This
not
is
to the point where I looked up the minutia of his
right.
life and so on. I
Yeah.
mean, just as far as listening to the music, I was really taken by this stuff, and I would say mostly anything from his beginning days up until probably up until uh, the late '80s. I would say he did a lot of stuff since then that I haven't gone into at all.
Bowie's
But,
career, it just, I
oh, it's
mean,
amazing.
just
Yeah.
an immense wealth of just, of so many twists and turns and different things. And but almost with every song and every album, you had to pay attention. You know, when you would like putting the headphones on and listen to a David Bowie song, you had to really be paying attention. And I bring that up because, like, well, you'd be doing that to anything. Yeah, but with him, you had to just really be 100%
No,
ready and
he's so
receptive,
innovative
so innovative. And
you hear so many different
sometimes I
sounds out
was,
of him.
especially with my kind of, ADHD kind of like, sort of like, you have to be completely like, ready. And sometimes that wasn't a good match for me. I'm just trying to kind of think, because some of the songs, a lot of his songs, I love, admire, amazing talent. So, I'm just trying to maybe explain why. And there's no answer except that, I know some songs, and it's the radio friendly stuff from this album. And, so that said, everything happens for a reason. All I know that on this channel right now, I'm going to dive into this album, and I can't wait for the next one.
All right,
Cool.
we're taking that dive. So
All right.
cool. I'm glad you like this. And
Yeah.
all right, I'll take us out.
Yeah.
Okay, so you know what buttons to hit. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, all those crazy things. And we'll catch you next time on Into the Music.
See ya.